This is JC Setting the Record Straight podcast. I'm your host, JC. On this channel, we set the record straight. That means we fact check and correct commonly believed misinformation and propaganda. One of my subscribers sent me a video proving that Bruce Schroeder is a member of the Freemasons. For those of you who don't know, Bruce Schroeder was the judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So the video showed a document proving that Bruce Schroeder was a chairman trustee of a local Freemason group. He wanted my response to it. This really doesn't surprise me. A lot of these judges are a part of the Freemasons. I'm not sure if people understand what the connection is. So basically, the Freemasons were a secret society. Now, I say were because I don't think they're really secret anymore. Like, a lot of their information is public. Like, I've seen their buildings all in Chicago. Like, you'll see this right in the open. It's not like they're trying to hide it and make it seem like it's something else. Like, you'll see a big old placard that says Freemasons. And I actually know people who are Freemasons, and they openly talk about it. Everything that the Freemasons learned came from the Moors. So basically, these secret societies are like shadow governments that control the governments who you think are running things. So you think that the president is running stuff. He's not. You think that the judges are really in control. They're not. Your local politicians, no. Your senators, your congressmen, nope, they're not running anything. They're being told what to do. There was even a video where Hillary Clinton was talking about she was going to some secret meeting. I think it was at Bohemian Grove. They were supposed to be told what they were going to do, how to look at foreign policy. And before President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, he gave this speech talking about how these secret societies were controlling America. And I don't know if you all know this, he also got rid of the Federal Reserve notes. He got rid of that fake fiat currency, and he created a currency that was owned by America. So it was in circulation for a few months, and then after he was assassinated, they put Lyndon B. Johnson in office. And then he immediately got rid of those American notes and put the Federal Reserve notes back in circulation. Now, I don't know why older people who were around during that time never talk about this, but y'all can Google this. This actually happened. Because we don't own those Federal Reserve notes. Those are owned by secret societies. Now, that video was on YouTube where JFK gave that speech about the secret societies. I don't know if it still is on YouTube, but I saw this a few years ago. You guys can look it up. Now, I don't like talking about the court system because it's very triggering and traumatizing given all the shit that I've been through personally. And I was planning on touching on some of these issues because I'm planning on doing this video exposing Judge Joe Brown, who I think may be initiated, which I guess I'll explain that in a minute. What I will say is that the Freemasons are pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, they are a part of it, but I don't think they're really creating policy. Like, they're basically just following orders, carrying out whatever they're being told. There's like a bunch of mystery schools, and I think it started with the Moors, which I don't know. I think there's a competition between the Moors and the Jays, which it seems like the Moors lost, but I think it's really about the Kabbalah right now, right? The Kabbalah really has influenced all these other mystery schools. Which I don't know. I don't know if the Kabbalah influenced the Moors or the Moors influenced the Kabbalah. But right now, the Kabbalah is really what it's about. Those who follow Kabbalah are running things. But then you also have the Mormons. And then you also have the Gnostic Christians, which are very different from the traditional Christians. These mystery schools worship the goat, right? Because the lamb, which is what Christians follow, are just cattle to be herded or controlled and and put to slaughter. Whereas the goat is roaming freely in the mountains. So you'll see these goat horns like in these law offices, right? That basically means that they're a member of one of these secret societies. And you'll see Baphomet. Baphomet is a god that they worship with these horns. So just to explain what the Kabbalists think, they basically believe that there's a way to become one with God. And so once you become one with God, then basically whatever you do is an act of God. And so there is no such thing as evil. You're carrying out the will of God. And they also don't believe in individuals. Like, we have one soul, we are all one. So it's like that whole principle of a parent beating a child and saying, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. They believe that whatever happens to someone else is happening to them. So if they harm someone, they don't see it as bad. They see it as they're also being harmed at the same time, and they think that it serves the greater good. So you as an individual, you just don't matter. So this is why they're able to screw people over and feel no guilt about it whatsoever. So basically, I don't know what it is. It's like you can get in on it through several different ways, different organizations, but they're all considered initiated, which means that the truth has been revealed to them, or I guess they're called enlightened. I guess a lot of y'all call them the Illuminati, but I don't, there is no actual Illuminati. There's no one group that they all follow. There's just a hierarchy that leads to the same path. So they think that they're justified in their actions no matter what because they are serving the greater good. So to get back to the court system, I've personally always felt that they were controlled in some kind of way. There's been so many times where the law was completely on my side and they ruled against me anyway with no explanation whatsoever. And there's been plenty of times where they'll send someone to meet their maker, giving them the death penalty, and they knew that the person was innocent, but they don't care. They don't care about you. You're an individual. They don't see you. You don't matter as an individual. It's about the greater good. They don't have any guilt about it whatsoever. There was this federal, or I guess to say former federal judge who did this interview on YouTube. She was talking about how she was pressured to rule a certain way in his case. Now, most federal judges have lifetime appointments. There are some federal magistrates who only have 7-year appointments, but an actual judge on a district court has lifetime appointments. And so that's supposed to protect them from corruption, from outside influences. But they actually still get to them somehow. I didn't know that you could actually remove a federal judge who has a lifetime appointment. You can remove them for cause. You can find some kind of way to say that they're corrupt or they're unfit to hold their office. You can remove them. And so she was being pressured to rule a certain way, and she didn't want to. And they told her that if she didn't do it, they were going to take away her judgeship and take away her retirement. Now, this was one woman who chose to speak out, but I'm sure this happens all the time. This wasn't some isolated incident. Like, you can see that there's a pattern. Like, they're all controlled. Like, they already know how they're going to rule before the case has even started. And you can request a jury trial. It doesn't matter. They're going to grant summary judgment before you even get to a jury. They're going to say, okay, so basically a summary judgment means that the facts are not in dispute, and then you're requesting a judge to rule on the law, which the facts are always in dispute, and they'll just grant it anyway. They'll say, oh, well, the facts are this, and so I'm going to make a ruling on the law. And really, that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to give the jury an opportunity to decide the facts. But yeah, they will deprive you of your right to a jury trial. They do it all the time. In civil cases, yeah, I should clarify that. I guess they can't really do that in criminal cases. So one time I got screwed over on my financial aid. Like, I'm thinking I'm about to get some financial aid and I'm going to use that money to pay my rent. And then at the last minute, they just didn't give it to me. And so, yeah, they can cancel your financial aid, but there's a process. They have to notify you in a particular time. Like, according to their own procedure, they're supposed to notify you during at the end of that specific term or semester, but they waited until the next term, which is too late. That's a due process violation, and they didn't give me an opportunity to be heard. Like, there was no opportunity for me to challenge them, or there's supposed to be some type of administrative procedure. They didn't do any of that. So anyway, I'm in court trying to basically fighting for my livelihood, and they released my academic records, which is also illegal. Um, and then the judge just starts basically talking about, oh, I understand, like, I'm on some state committee to try to protect privacy and blah blah blah. So literally, I'm up here fighting for my livelihood, and you don't give a fuck about that. You're just talking about how you're in some stupid committee. I'm about to be homeless. I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay my rent because I thought I was about to get financial aid, and you don't give a fuck. You're telling me about some committee. It was like a scene from that movie The Devil's Advocate. Like, I just felt this overwhelming presence of evil. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? These people don't give a fuck about this case. This is a waste of time. Like, they're evil. They have no empathy whatsoever. And if it would be one thing if I was just going to lose based on the law and the actual facts of the case, which I don't think that happened. She granted summary judgment. That's what they always do, to avoid a jury trial. So it's bad enough that you're about to fuck me over, but now I have to listen to your fucking rant about being on some stupid committee. Like, I was so pissed. It's been so many situations like that I'm just so disgusted with the legal system. I think they're all corrupt. And I think any attorney who is practicing, who has any type of trial experience, they also know that it's corrupt because it's happened to them too. I talked to one of my friends who's a practicing attorney. She was telling me the same thing. But it's different when it's your client getting screwed over because you're still getting paid, right? You're still charging your $500, $600 an hour. But when it's actually you, which I think that's what the judge didn't really make. She's used to dealing with lawyers, right? And their clients. So I guess she forgot that she was talking to the actual party. She wasn't talking to a lawyer. I was representing myself, and so they don't give a shit. I've seen murder cases, right? Like, somebody's on trial for murder, and you think there's supposed to be an adversarial process, and they're over there cracking jokes, not like in a corner, where it's out of the presence of the jury in the courtroom. No, they're making jokes out in the open. Like, it's not adversarial. Like, you think that your lawyer is on your side. He or she is not. Lawyers are officers of the court, which means that their primary duty is to the court, not to you as the client. So they actually don't give a fuck about you, right? The only thing that they have a vested interest in is protecting their own ego. So they want to win a case in order to say that they're a good lawyer, and they can say, oh, I went against so-and-so and I won. But they don't actually care about you. They're getting paid either way. And they have this expression in the law that a man who represents himself has a fool for a client, right? Because they're always trying to discourage people from representing themselves. But you represent them. You let them represent you. Oh, by the way, the term attorney, it's Latin attorney, which means to turn over, which means they're literally turning you over to the court. Like, that's their role. Traditionally, and under common law, the attorney turns you over to the court. That is their job. So these lawyers know that it's not really about the law. It's a dog and pony show. And the reason you can tell that they know is because they're constantly sucking up to the judges, right? They're always, Your Honor, this, they're brown nosing. A lot of these law firms also make large campaign contributions to judges. And if you're one of these big law firms, that's why they charge so much money, right? Because the more money they make, the more they can bribe judges with campaign contributions, and they basically can um, almost guarantee that they're going to get a ruling in their favor. I mean, it's not considered a bribe because it's out in the open. You have to disclose it, but they do it. They do it all the time. And there's a psychology to this whole I don't know, legitimacy of courts, right? Because I don't, for some reason everyone seems to think that courts are acts of God, and y'all just believe whatever a judge say or says, when really he's just a man in a dress. But they purposely used, well, and they, okay, there's a psychology behind the colors of the road. Like, there's a whole history behind all this shit, how they gave courts legitimacy, right? And then the judge's bench is raised so that when you go to court, you have to look up to the judge. They do that on purpose. And then they constantly want you to refer to the judge as your honor. They call, it's when a judge walks into the room, everyone has to stand up so that everyone knows that the judge is important. The judge is basically God. It's a mind control thing. The judges refer to themselves as the court. So if you give a judge some evidence, here's exhibit A, they'll say, oh, the court has received your document. Or, they always the judge refers to himself or herself as the court. And they'll constantly talk about what they're not going to allow in their courtroom, like it actually belongs to them, right? They don't think that it belongs to the people. They think it belongs to them. And then we also know that there are all esquires, the lawyers and the judges, which esquire is a title of nobility, which is unconstitutional. When it comes to the legal system, I've pretty much seen it all. And basically, it's corrupt. It's always going to be corrupt because nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to do anything about it. The only people who are in a position to do anything about it would be the lawyers. And they have a vested interest in perpetuating the current system. They're making way too much money. A layperson doesn't understand it. I sit up here and try to explain this shit. People are just going to get a damn headache. It's too complicated, right? You need something that you can reduce to a soundbite or put on a bumper sticker. They're not trying to hear all that shit. I fought against these people for years. They literally destroyed my life. Nobody gave a shit, including my own friends. I don't think my mom gave a shit. Like, nobody gave a shit. And they're just acting like it's like I'm fine. Like, they still, every time I go home, they want to bring it up. Like, I don't want to talk about that. That's why I don't even want to deal with my mom. It's like, you can't even get a birthday card without them putting in the birthday card something about law school. It's like, okay, that was the past. Okay, we need to move on from that. So I highly doubt that this video is going to be taken down because it doesn't matter what I say. I know this shit. I've done it. I've done it for years. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to do anything. I'm not a threat to the system. I can provide all the proof in the world about what goes on. Nobody's going to do a damn thing about it. And so they have these judicial ethics committees where you can report judges for unethical conduct. But those committees actually don't do anything. It actually makes the judges more corrupt because when you file a complaint, what they'll do is they'll sit on a complaint until it becomes handy for them. So when they want to coerce a judge into doing something that they want the judge to do, then they will try to use that complaint to say, oh, well, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to bring charges against you for unethical conduct and blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't, you can't win. You can't use their system to fight them. I don't know what you gotta do. So I'm pretty much going to say that they're all in on it. Anyone who has a high level position, any attorney at a big law firm, they're all in on it. You can appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. They're in on it also. Like, you can't even get to those positions without being in on it. And one other piece of information which I think might be interesting to people, when they appoint people to the U.S. Supreme Court, the only people they ever appoint are Jews and Catholics. They never appoint Protestants. We don't have any Muslims. I remember reading this edict from like the 14th century or something, agreement between the Catholics and the Jews. I don't know. I mean, there's some type of reason. I always found that really odd why they would never put a Protestant on the U.S. Supreme Court. But there's a reason for that too. Oh, I guess I forgot that. I kind of think the Catholics are part of the mystery schools too, but yeah, they are, because they have all those secret documents hidden at the Vatican, which they won't release because they're trying to keep people ignorant about what the Bible actually means. So I'm going to assume that the Catholics are part of the mystery schools too. So you never know what's going on in these cases, right? Maybe the judge is a member of the secret society. Maybe the defendant is also a member. Maybe that law firm made campaign contributions to the judge's campaign for judgeship. So long story short, the legal system is a dog and pony show. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's not real. Now, if there's some type of political pressure being put on judges, maybe they will rule in your favor, or issue a fair judgment, right? But if you're just a nobody and there's no political pressure, there's not like media attention and protests and all that shit, they don't give a fuck. You're just a nobody. They're going to screw you over. Nobody's going to see or hear about you. Out of all three branches of government, I would say that the courts are the most corrupt because they have final say. There's something called judicial review. So it's Marbury versus Madison, a U.S. Supreme Court case, would say it is emphatically the province of the judiciary to say what the law is. So basically, the Supreme Court has the final say on all things legal. They can override the president. Everybody. I mean, the only thing that really gives the president more power is that he does have the military on his side. But really, everyone understands that the Supreme Court or the courts, overall, have more power than the other branches. They all defer to the courts. And by the way, most judges, well, not all judges, I should say, but most lawyers, I'm screwing up, but most mayors, senators, presidents, governors, all of them, anybody who has power, most of them are lawyers, which means that they're officers of the court. So that is the track for most of them. You will find some politicians who are business owners or maybe doctors or something, but overwhelming majority of them are going to be lawyers. Obama, Hillary Clinton. I don't know if Joe Biden is a lawyer. I would assume that he is because almost all of them are. Kamala Harris certainly is. You can just go through the record. Just go down the line. You'll see Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Yeah, unless you come from a very wealthy family, if you're a self-made person, you pretty much are going to be. I know Ann Coulter was talking about how the Republicans are business owners, the Democrats are lawyers, and when it comes to presidents. But anyway, this video was long enough. I hope I answered your question. The legal system is corrupt. The fact that that judge happens to be a member of the Freemasons is just one level to it, but there's so many other factors which probably influence that judge's decision. There are so many things that I want to say. I really would like to get into the Federalist Papers and talk about what they said about judicial corruption, but I don't know, maybe I'll do that in another video, but I still am going to expose Judge Joe Brown. That's going to be forthcoming within the next few weeks. I have so many other topics that I need to cover before I even get to that. But that's all I have. Thanks for your support. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will know when I upload new content.